of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under attack, time has come, we're gonna take it back. Just wait and see, don't tread on me. I won't sit back, stand idly by, watch the heart of my nation die. Oh, not me, don't tread on me. Don't tread on my Bible, don't tread on my guns, don't you tread on my faith in God's only son. Don't tread on me, don't tread on me.
Hey everybody, this is John Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly, and it's another Trumptastic day in Fayette County. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Windows and Doors, Miser's Garage and Tire Center. By the way, them guys are going to be closed for a few days. It seems the flu bug's going through their shop, and so they decided to take some days off and shut down and get some rest. PatriotsOnline.com, Mung's Auto Body, Fayette County Recovery and Storage and U-Haul. And I know Hubie just got in a bunch of new U-Hauls, so go rent them off of him. Country Motor Sales, Gunslingers in Connersville, Thunderhill Feed and Supply, The Ink Spot, Solid Foundation Ministry, New Life Free Methodist Church, Highline Motorsports, Gun Owners of America, Hillbilly Jon Radio, and John Marietta for We the People. And Bill's trying to get us up. He got us up on Facebook finally. So everybody will be able to watch. We had a little bit of an issue there. I'll tell you what. It seems like it was just Monday, but I want to start out with this. Jesus tells his disciples that leaders should not exercise authority over people. Instead, whoever wants to become great must lower himself to be a servant. Leaders realize that serving others is the only way to lead with a pure heart, free of pride and arrogance. That's Matthew 20, 25, and 28. I got Gino just roll right in here, and we got a bunch of things to discuss. But you know what? With some of this new information we just found out,
it's going to take a while to process.
We're not going to.
We don't mean to give you a teaser, but we have a lot to follow coming up in the next few months.
We got some people going through some stuff, and one of the things I was thinking about, they built that new jail. Maybe the reason they put all that money in that new jail is because they're going to have to secure themselves. The commissioners are going to have to secure themselves up there.
It's very troubling.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if that jail's made to keep people out.
Yeah, I think it's meant to keep them in.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble. But the amount of money that's oh dear. I had a phone call last night, and a lady that's privately investigating this stuff, and I tell you what, if half of it's right.
Well, I think just what we see know to be true on the surface. For the first time in the history of the Fayette County, we ran a deficit, and a $15 million deficit. In fact, it was so unusual. The commissioner spent so much money. It was so unusual to even that they needed to get a loan, which in the form of a bond. But to do that under these circumstances, it was so unusual. They actually had to go to court, John. They had to get a judge's permission because it was so out of the norm to pursue that bond and to pursue that loan. And they did get the judge's permission. They didn't share the information as to why. It was pretty general. It was for unforeseen circumstances. And I don't know, John, did you get a clear indication of what those circumstances were?
No,
I don't think the public did.
I haven't got anything. We asked, and
that's the small consideration we did get. Commissioners Lohr and the chair, Scott Dunn, did agree that they'd be transparent moving forward with the $15 million bond issue. So I know I plan to be at the next commissioners meeting if I can.
Well,
And
we're gonna make
know, hey, where's this money being used? Are you going to maintain that level of transparency that you promised us? And I think at a minimum, they owe that to the people. I mean, besides this insane deficit of, they claimed they were only going to use $8 million of the $15 million. The other thing that's kind of concerning is how quick that issue came up. They had to have known for quite a while that there was going to be a significant short in the money, that they didn't have enough to finish up the year. Yet they didn't put out for the bond to the last minute. So I question, did they have time to shop for a good interest rate?
We're not sure if it's a bond or a loan yet. I don't think they've determined that, have they?
I don't know. I believe it is a bond, which is in essence the same thing.
So why didn't I get a chance to buy some of this?
Well, those bonds you can on the secondary market, but as I understand, that's how those bonds work. And but I don't know if that'd be a safe bet at this point.
No.
I mean, of the municipal bonds out there, because they've already got us taxed to death. Recently we've seen. We've seen a continuation of Vince Faciti's career of taxation over 30 years. I mean, just spend and tax. The Vince Faciti School of Economics is spend. That's the mantra, and let others pay that price. I mean, we've seen that in his personal life and with a personal bankruptcy, and that would normally be personal business that I wouldn't bring up. Someone filing personal bankruptcy, but when this person is a fiduciary, and now they're coming for my money and your money and the taxpayers' money, because those bad spending habits, they trickled over into the county budget. Vince Faciti's was caught after the meeting on a hot mic. I mean, it wasn't like he was caught, but he clearly stated, and you see that on YouTube, that he's living paycheck to paycheck and that commissioners in other counties make significantly more. And that's really concerning to me. If just after filing bankruptcy, he's still living paycheck to paycheck. And let's be honest, that's where our county's at. We're paycheck to paycheck. They haven't solved any of the problems that they've actually created. And now we've got Scott Dunn, his A student. He gave Scott a gold star. Now Scott's on board with all this spending. And although I don't know if a student's the right word, I think Scott Dunn's more of a disciple. I think that's probably a better word. Him and Faciti's are connected at the hip with all this spending, even causing Scott to turn on his fellow Republican, his fellow party member. Because the last time I checked, I'm pretty certain, wasn't Dave Lohr the top vote getter in the county?
He was.
Now, traditionally in county government, and I've talked to a few ex-commissioners that have said that traditionally the high vote getter is the chair of the commissioners. But so how in the world did Scott, who wasn't the high, get to be the chair and Vince is the vice chair? Obviously, Scott and Vince teamed up and they made a deal to close Dave Lohr and keep him out of the loop, at least on some things. It was interesting that Dave Lohr did vote against the tax increase, which I just don't understand how someone that's living paycheck to paycheck like Vince claims that he is, someone who's making significantly more than the median income in this county, how he feels. I mean, he obviously can't afford a 26% increase in his taxes. How does he think everybody else can do it?
I've talked to so many people, and I know you have too, Gino. All these different people calling. We're trans. I don't want to make this about party. I really don't.
Well, it's not about party.
Obviously,
we have a Republican and a Democrat teamed up together to spend us into a $15 million deficit.
Well, a vote for Scott was just like a proxy vote for Vince. I mean, seriously, look at what's happening.
They vote on the important issues. They're absolutely voting the same. They appear to be running everything.
The people that supported him, they have to be heartbroken because Ronald Reagan carried an axe around trying to cut taxes, and now we got one that's wanting to raise taxes everywhere. I think we need to cut taxes. I had a meeting this afternoon. There's at lunchtime. I went to lunch, and I'm allowed to eat lunch too, by the way. But anyways, I had a gentleman come up to me and he says, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think we need to figure out how to cut the taxes for our seniors because they're taking the brunt of this. I mean, our senior citizens are taking the brunt of this, and there's money that's not." We're trying to follow it. That was supposed to go.
There's a lot of money missing, and a lot of bad decisions. I don't even know that they were. It's strong to say that they were corrupt, illegal type, law-breaking decisions, but they were certainly extremely questionable, and they just don't look right. And but at any rate, the reality is it is our seniors that are taking the brunt of this increase, especially our seniors who own homes, but even our young families. It's going to be less likely. This is a real boost to the landlords of the county because the landlords will just pass that along to their tenants. But there'll be a lot more homes available in the tax sale. We already have landlords control 60% of the real estate in this county. Most of the folks are renters. And that's not the best thing for a community. You really want to see people in your community own their own homes. They tend to take better care of them. But they're making it impossible. They're putting this on the back of people that are just barely making it, people that have decided that this is their line in the sand. They're going to stay in Fayette County. And it's tough here. There's not many opportunities.
Well, I mean,
they're getting less and less every year.
In order to live in this part of Pennsylvania, you have to be first off, you have to understand that it costs more because you have to pay for heat. You have to pay for a lot more maintenance than what you would in other parts of the country. And you can understand why seniors are wanting to get out of here. I mean, just think about it. There's no.
Well, it's not just the seniors, John. But the other thing that's hurting us really bad are the young people that graduate high school and they don't look back. And they love it and they would love to come back. I mean, you see it all the time on Facebook. But there's just the opportunity's not here. They've literally chased it away. And now, that's not all the commissioner's fault. That's, you can't blame every problem in the world. But I tell you what I can blame. I can blame them all for raising my taxes 26% after they just did a significant increase back in 2020. And just the lies, just come clean. And please be honest with the people about this bond issue, this $8 million you're going to spend, or which I suspect they'll spend the full 15. Where does it go? We're gonna do our best to hold them accountable, and I hope they make it easy. I really hope. What I really hope and I pray is that at the next commissioners meeting that they'll find it in themselves to reopen the budget and find those cuts, because I think that they've heard from everybody. Well, everyone that could make it at 10 a.m. A lot of the working people they couldn't take off.
Yeah, well, that's going to be brought up. I mean, that will be brought up over and over again. It's time we have meetings at a different time of the day so the working people can get there. So people that can, even the retired people that want to take care of their homes and stuff, and almost everybody in Fayette County's on some kind of taking care of their own furnace anymore. I mean,
sure.
You have a wood burner to keep your house warm because.
Well, speaking of retired folks, I'd like just to take a minute to speak to the county pensioners, the folks that are on a county pension. We're trying to find out the exact status of the county pension. We're going to do still another right to know request. But specifically, there's a lot of misinformation going around. The commissioner, specifically Vince Facese, is still trying to blame past administrations for the pension problem. So I did some investigating, like I do. I still have a lot of the old books. But the last regime, when Al Ambrosini and Zabatowski and Commissioner Zimmerlink were in office, that first year of Al Ambrosini's term, he put $1 million into the pension fund, and that got it up to around 82%. And his third year, he put an additional $400,000 in, and that got the pension up to 92% funded. So that was where the pension was trending in the right direction. Now it's my understanding that the numbers are pretty dismal. I hope they do the responsible thing and use some of that $15 million to shore up the pension fund. I hope they continue the annual contributions or just to try to get that thing in place, because I can't imagine being, trying to live on a county pension after all those years of service to the county and being stabbed in the back and then falling short on their obligation. And I really hope that they don't do that, and I hope they can bring that fund up to snuff and get it up closer to or even at 100%.
Well, I can tell you this. I remember, because I was part of the United Food and Commercial Workers, and our pension fund was funded at 120% or 122%, and everybody was getting raises every year, and everything was working out really well. And then it was the Fannie Mae thing. They had all that money invested in that, and it crashed. And well, they couldn't get it back to where it needed to be, and all they could do is maintain. So we got to the point where, I mean, it got very ugly in a big hurry. And what happened was the government came in and took over, and it was only funded they finally got it funded back up to about 70% with the government's help. But a lot of guys retired 20 years ago, and they're still getting the same amount of pension 20 years ago that they got now.
Wow, that's a long time to go without COLAs, cost of living adjustments.
Oh, there was no cost of living, and mine was so bad. I worked. Mine was so bad. They told me that they said they didn't even want to write. They didn't even want to write me a check every month. They just sent me the total of what they figured they were going to pay me over my lifetime. I mean, because that's how bad it was. I mean, at the time when it crashed.
Well, it's tough, but these are obligations that these companies, and in our case, the county, we have to meet.
Absolutely.
I mean,
we got to keep
county
the lights
workers,
on in the courthouse.
They sacrifice,
keep it heated.
Right? The county workers have sacrificed over their whole careers and not made much money.
No.
But they had the promise. The rest of that deal was that it was an okay pension, and we've got to deliver. They got to deliver on that. It's going to be hard to do with all this spending. I mean, the extreme spending, their big expansion. And I thought a lot about government expansion over the last week. You know, when government expands, you know, we lose some of our liberty. And in this case, we're losing financial liberty.
Actually, there's a word for that. It's called tyranny.
Right, tyranny. Well, and it's just a little bit, but you lose it. It's a death of 1,000 cuts. So 28%, tax increase. That's forever, folks. And in my case, that's a little over $1,000. That I'd like to use that to invest in my grandkids and their future. Buy stocks and do other investments with that. I really don't want to pay that to the county, but I will because I have to. I don't want to lose my properties.
We got to figure out how to put it in an escrow account.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. There's a lot of talk about that. But again, that could hurt the county. Really what needs to happen, reach out to these commissioners. They can start doing the right thing. Redemption, any day. I mean, they can. I know that Commissioner Vasides, over the span of his career, has opened up the budget many, many times, going into the new year. And they could certainly do that at their next commissioners meeting. They could still be looking for these cuts. They could get this under control. This is only a done deal. This is up to the commissioners. They have to make this choice, and they're going to make it over and over.
It is a done deal, and it's a
D-U-N-N deal.
It's a Vasides deal too, and that's what's got us in this spot.
I'm still shocked that we got someone from a different party coming so in alignment with Vince. I'm not surprised, but see, and it's not being critical. It just doesn't work, folks. The county hasn't gotten better in the last 30 years. Taxation is not the answer. It's leadership. It's leadership with a vision. And this spending spree, I've just never seen anything like it in my lifetime. That COVID money, they were just drunk on spending, and they couldn't break the habits. And my concern is that the county's this is a $15 million deficit. We've never been here. If they're not really diligent with that money, and the past is if the past is any indication, they won't be. Now we're going to be carrying this $15 million debt. Are they even going to be able to pay it back? Is the spending going to stop? I mean, we've got a deficit, and they're spending money on luxuries, and we're going to expose some of those coming over the next few months. And again, we don't mean to tease you. It's just that we're going to be into very slippery legal ground here real soon. So we've got to be careful about what we say and when we say
and what we don't say. I feel bad. I mean, it's going to cost me about I don't know $800 more in for the county.
And I'm not really worried so much about myself, but the little old ladies that testified at the commissioners' meeting,
and
they just can't afford it.
And they didn't act like they even cared. They were playing on their phones. I mean, they were playing on their phones. They acted like they didn't even care.
Well, there was a certain amount of the attitude the commissioners have towards the public was caught on the hot mics, and and we're going to share some of those clips with you in the near future. But if you, in the meantime, you can see some of it on one of the video feeds was done by WMBS. It is available on YouTube.
Yes,
and I believe it's on the WMBS website. Please watch the meeting. It was very important. All the meetings are important, but this was the result of the last 4 to 5 years of just horrific spending. And this isn't something that they got in trouble. This was foreseen. I would argue that they lied to the courts when they said it was unforeseen. Everything that happened, we predicted, John, and it was pretty evident to everybody around them.
You and Harry and
everybody.
And I worked on the injection wells, and we predicted that we showed them, and then finally they jumped on board. Charity Grimm was with us the whole time
from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Well, these are just issues.
I don't know where Ron Warner is. I say I don't know. He must be hiding.
Hiding Ryan.
Hiding Ryan. I don't know where he's at.
Well, listen, these are issues that our community has got to come together and solve, and we've got other big issues. The commissioners have made such a bungle out of the tax sales and redeeming money back to the communities, then now every school district is in the brink of raising taxes, I believe. I mean, it's going to be tough going forward. So in addition to this 20% increase in county tax, their bad management has spilled over in some cases into the school boards. They haven't settled their accounts from tax sales and things like that.
That's one of the things we found
and that's a significant amount of money.
It looks like over $5 million. I mean, we got to get
that the county has to remit back to the school districts. If I was on a school board, I'd have a hard time raising people's taxes knowing the county owes us some amount of money. I'd have to get that quantified, and I'd want to know, where my money is. But now we got the school boards are wrestling with all raising taxes. Laurel Highlands is not just threatened. I mean, they're going to push the reassessment, which is overdue. Now, all the reassessment will do, which will be interesting. It's going to adjust a lot of taxes. I think a lot of politicians are going to really get caught with their hand in a cookie jar. They're going to have to readjust their values, and I think they're going to be paying more.
Exactly, because
the idea of an assessment is supposed to be everybody pays their fair share, and that's how it should be. Everyone should pay their fair share. I wonder if Nemacolin will get reassessed or if they'll exempt them somehow.
I didn't know if we wanted to go down there.
Well, I do. Listen, everyone's got to pay their fair share. If you have more, you give more. That's how I think.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I give more than some, and some give more than me. But everyone's got to just do their fair share.
I mean, and you think about how they promised about bringing the casinos in, about how this was going to help the seniors out, and it just hasn't.
Well, you think about the Lord's Prayer. Forgive those that trespass against me as I forgive those. That's fair. People don't really want fair all the time.
No.
But we need fair in this county as a baseline to start. We need a new benchmark. And not that I'm advocating, because you could do that just through the current assessment process. But none of that. Don't let that be a smokescreen. Don't let them sneak another tax increase in that assessment. They're not supposed to.
If they use
You've got to do sound spending. They got to get around to cuts.
If they use all $15 million or $15.5 million, what they were approved for, there's going to have to be another tax increase next year, or they're going to have to borrow more money. And one of the two.
We have two big expenses coming up.
Yeah.
The reassessment is going to cost, by conservative estimates, I think Dave Lohr estimated it to be about $5 million.
Yep.
And that's got to come from somewhere.
Yep.
And even though they can't raise taxes, so if you do have to do the reassessment, say it's $5 million. And the other big expense, they got a labor contract coming up, and they have to compete with labor like they never have before.
Well, I know that the county employees. I mean, it's always been when I graduated from high school, if you could get a job working for the county, that was like a coveted position. But now the problem is you can make better money anywhere, and the benefits
are better.
Or well, I don't know if they're better, but they're equal to it.
Oh, they're comparable. Okay.
But these people deserve everything they get. I've been there 3 years now, and I tell you what, I've noticed all the people, the janitors, they try to do their best. I'm not the easiest person to get along with in my office because I got stuff everywhere, and they're always trying to mop my floors and clean up for me and take the garbage out. And they're
unfortunately,
they're very good people. They really are.
Unfortunately, the commissioners additionally sold out their future because they invested in a bunch of buildings, and a bunch of new expenses, and there's only so much to go around, and we're in a shrinking county. So since for the last 30 years, the county's been shrinking, Vince tries the tried and true method of taxing and allegedly keeping expenses under habit. But recently they had this big expansion of government. And the liberty we lost is our financial liberties. They squeezed a little bit more money out of everybody. And believe me, that's going to trickle down to the renters and everyone else. And it's just that it doesn't work. It's not so much I mind the extra tax, but it's not working. And I mean, they just keep going back to the same old.
Yeah, and we have to make things happen. We got to change the way we do things, and we just have to change the way we do things.
Well, clearly the government needs to be right sized or adjusted down to mimic the shrinking population. And as things get more expensive, maybe you have to make some even bigger cuts.
Well, I'm looking at a couple different situations right now where I'm going to be able to even the mapping we do in the recorder's office for the plots and plans and things like that. We're going to try to work on them to try to get them done inside the county and in-house because we make a copy of them right there. So why not?
So technology is such that we are saving some money from technology.
Oh yeah,
and we could be saving a lot of space too. That's why I don't understand the big land grab.
A lot of trees.
We're saving. So the whole thing around that. Technology is we should be getting smaller. Our TVs, our monitors, our computer systems are getting smaller.
How about this, Gino? This is something I've been thinking about that we need to really, really consider. And and this is looking way out there, but we have all the natural gas that we possibly can need in this county. I mean, all the and there's oil. We're sitting on oil. If people don't realize that, we are. But anyways, the natural gas. Why can't we bring in these micro generators, generate the electric for whatever plan or business we're going to do, and then sell the rest of it back to the Allegheny Power because they have trouble generating enough power at peak time now, and help them out. And that way the county, or the county parks that have gas underneath them that we own, why can't we do that? And I know there's going to be some Public Utility Commission's things, but we have to look outside the box. We have to do things differently.
So,
because raising taxes has got us where we're at. So now we got to figure out how to do it better.
Well, you mentioned that. It's funny because, we weren't really going to get into trails today, but I do remember Vince Sabatowski and Alan Brazzini were big proponents for parks, and they wanted a funding source because you can't tap the taxpayers to pay for trails and for parks. It's just a reality. It's always a low thing on the totem pole. But what they did, they earmarked all the money from the German Township Park and some of the other county grounds was supposed to go into a fund for matching grants for parks and trails. And had that happened and that fund been left intact, there would have been a sizable amount of money in there. The parks could have paid for the parks. And the trails could have paid for the trails. Somerset charges a little extra on their hotel tax. That hotel tax is paid by tourists. Let the tourists pay for tourism. There's money there for that. Let it grow at its own pace. Don't pick the pockets of people that frankly might not use the trail or see the value in it. I mean, I do, but again, that can't come from the already strained property owners and taxpayers. Let the trail and the parks pay for themselves. And they can do it. They can absolutely do it.
And I mean, these we own the property on these trails.
Well, we did. We actually owned most of the railway, and then it got sold. And we're going to bring that up later.
Yeah,
but it's horrendous what has happened. And the true history of the sheepskin is a horrifying story of wasted opportunity and money.
Well, at least they didn't plan a ribbon cutting for this tax increase.
I'm surprised they didn't. They really like ribbon cuttings.
I mean, it seems like they didn't plan a ribbon cutting for it. So I don't know what happened. I figured if they would have had a ribbon cutting, the increase would be like the jail. It wouldn't go into work until for another year.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah.
So
they could have delayed it.
We're at the end of our time already, Gino.
Wow,
believe it or
that
not.
went fast.
Hey, we're going to be back on Tuesday at 4:15. Hopefully we're going to have another guest with us. So. Like I always say, while on this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad. Smile when you're sad, love what you got, and remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. Learn from your mistakes, but never regret. People change. Things go wrong. Just remember the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am John Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.